Where would someone start when it comes to producing point of sale for their business?
So you need to go to a printing company. That's quite important, and they have a lot of templates about what they think works, and you have to work with the design team to make sure that your point of sale looks different in store, but is also something that the retailer is going to take. It can't be too big. That takes up too much space. Big brands in store are paying for space at counter. If you're a small brand, you have to have your own unique story as to why you should, for free, have expensive counter space. And if you've got an amazing point of sale unit that's going to encourage rate of sale and it's going to be an additional revenue stream for your retailers, then you've got a strong value proposition.
Yeah, I love that. That's such, I mean, my background, like my very first client in the advertising world was Optus.
Oh, really?
Optus. And I was passionate about prepaid mobiles. Like I was very much in the prepaid category. Then we kind of looked at, we did a whole brand refresh and everything like that. So I became very familiar with various points of sale, various like in-store messaging, marketing, the flow of the retail kind of store and outlet. So I absolutely resonate with you there. And that's the thing that catches people's attention, right? In terms of when they walk into the shop and they're like, what is going to catch my eye? There are so many products, especially when you go into like a grocer or a deli, they jam them full. So it's what is going to stand out?
Yeah. Some of them have, even the smaller grocers have over 5,000 lines. So that's 5,000 different products.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy. Like how are you meant to stand out in amongst all of this noise?
Yeah.
How do you look different?
Yeah.
And that is probably the most important thing when you're starting a product-based business. Just imagine yourself as one of 5,000 lines and think in the branding, in the packaging, how am I going to look different?
Absolutely. Now, with the health, I mean, I know you're not kind of purely on that kind of hangover relief. You very much dabble in that like wellness and health space as well. But the wellness and health space is so saturated in terms of, there's a new trend and a new fad every 6 months. There's a new, product and service and gym and, spa and wellness offering. So how do you stay in front of the trends when it comes to kind of that space that you're playing in?
Yeah, that is so true. And as someone who loves health and wellness and buys into these trends myself and will try every new weird trend there is, every new sauna variation or ice bath variation or new supplement thing, I've tried. I honestly believe I've been to every gym in Sydney, truly, at least once. So I'm fully in it and I'm fully aware that trends come and go as well. I don't think if you're launching a business, I don't think you can launch it on the back of a trend. Yeah. I believe that you need a rich story and a very rich value proposition to withstand any trend. Health and wellness is so saturated, but it's growing still. I call it the moderation movement. I believe that everyone's looking for more moderation in health, wellness and beauty, and they're willing to still pay for a good premium service or a good premium product that they can add to their routine. So I don't believe that there's not room for more entrants. I just believe it's about having the right service or product and having the story behind it.
Yeah, and having value, right?
Exactly.
Like I think that's
Creating
one of the
value.
biggest things. Yeah. We had a conversation with a client recently. She's like, no one's spending. And I was like, it couldn't be further from the truth. People are spending, but they're spending their money on things that they value. Yeah. They're spending their money on experiences. Taylor Swift was living proof of that. Tickets being over $500, $600, $700. People were buying 3 or 4 nights worth. People do it because they value that and they have, they value that experience. So you're so right in that sense around the fact that it has to be, ingrained. It can't be off the back of a trend or a fad if you do want it to kind of be a long-term business.
Yeah, for the longevity.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So how important is it when it comes to kind of maintaining or growing a brand when it comes to telling the story behind it? Because I know that's something, you have a look at your social accounts now, whether it's your personal brand or the business, storytelling is so crucial to your profile and your platforms on there. So what elements of the story do you focus on when it comes to telling that story?
Very good question, and that's actually changed as well. So there's 2 stories that I really not rely on, but I want to get out to the world. And one is the story of Soul Tonic and the provenance and the rich history and the deep-seated relationship with Mr. Park and his story as well, and what we're tapping into at Soul Tonic, especially with new products and the premium nature of the products and how we know end-to-end the manufacturing, how we are so rigorous on the quality of the ingredients and the formula, and how we go to Soul all the time to shoot all of our content.
Hey, just a quick one. If you are loving this episode, help us grow and reach more people by hitting the subscribe button and leaving a review.
So there's that whole kind of Korean side, that story with Mr. Park. And then there's my own story, which is my kind of business story, which is what I've done in my life to get to a point to run my own brand. And people really resonate with both. People find the Soul Tonic story quite interesting, that this young Australian girl is gone to South Korea and has met this guy and now they're creating this brand that they want to take to the world. And then my own story really resonates with a lot of people, especially females, younger ones in their 20s, in their corporate career, wondering what's next? What can I do? You know, should I start a business? What's my next move? And so talking through my moves between EY, Moet Hennessy, Red Bull, what I've learnt, how I've started a business and the behind the scenes, that story, that is also what I've found has been really important to speak to my audience with.
Yeah, and I mean there's no better storyteller than Red Bull, right? Like they are a brand first business. So what did you learn from Red Bull that you've kind of taken and implemented into how you run your own business and how you talk about your own business?
A lot. Interestingly, it actually started at Moet Hennessy because all those brands, so from Dom Perignon, Krug, Veuve Clicquot, Moet, Belvedere even, they all have these rich brand stories that date back a long time, especially particularly the Madame Clicquot story with Veuve Clicquot. I resonated so strongly with Madame Clicquot. I became obsessed with her and I became obsessed with the brand building based around that history. And then, so that was my first taste of loving stories and history and buying into the product based on the story. I would even choose to drink a bottle of Veuve Clicquot over, say, a Dom Perignon because I just loved Madame Clicquot so much. And that was such an interesting moment to me. I was thinking, I'm actually basing my consumption decision based on a person that existed ages ago, right? Like I don't know her. She doesn't exist anymore. Like she started this thing, but I just resonated with her so much. And so then when I came to Red Bull, I really understood storytelling and the rich history and Red Bull has its own amazing story as well, from its inception and how it started and how it was kind of this illegal good and everyone was trying to source it over the world and then the way that it speaks to its customers and it never has the product first. I mean, Red Bull is not about images with people just holding the can. It's about how do you bring a consumer into the world of Red Bull through experiences, and that's exactly what I want to do with Soul Tonic. I want to tap into the East Asian world and culture and history and way of life and bring that to my consumers rather than just selling a product. So that was probably the biggest lesson. And there's so many things I've learned from Red Bull.
Yeah, and I feel like you do collect those things as you go, right? And I think one of the things that I speak about quite a bit is I see so many people leaving school and being like, I just want to start a business because they see this kind of glamorization of, you know, young girls or young people starting businesses, or they leave uni and they're like, that's it, I'm not going to go and work for somebody. I'm just going to start my own business. And I personally think for a lot of the businesses that we see that are successful, they are only successful because of the experiences that they've had in other businesses or working for other people, which I think is something that, you know, you can only get through the experiences that you have. So I think storytelling is so fundamental to the success of a business. But I also think the kind of narrative that you have before you get to where you are now, it plays such an important role. Now, talking about storytelling, your recent TikTok, as the Gen Z would say, popped off.
Slayed.
It popped off. It caught the attention of the Daily Mail.
I wouldn't say slay. I would say, pop off is probably right.
It popped off.
Yeah.
As things do when you post them on TikTok. The Daily Mail picked it up, but you spent a lot of time in that TikTok talking about tall poppy syndrome in Australia, something that I deeply resonated with when it came to, you know, how you told the story and the experiences that you've had. What prompted you to record that TikTok?
Yeah, so tall poppy syndrome is something that everyone has their own interpretation of what it means, I think, which is important to note.
Yep.
My interpretation is there's this overwhelming feeling in Australian society that people don't want you to succeed or they're kind of waiting for you to fail and you're not celebrated. Your successes aren't celebrated and you feel like you have to downplay your successes because you don't want to appear as arrogant or confident or egotistical. And I feel like that. Like I rarely will go to my friends and say, look at me, like I've done this, I've done that. And sometimes I don't want to say that, but sometimes I want to be proud of my achievements.
Absolutely.
You know, even winning the TV show, I still don't feel proud enough to be able to come out and say I did such an amazing thing by filming this thing and then I won it. Like how amazing is that? I feel weird saying that.
Yeah, I mean, you look uncomfortable even saying it out loud now.
That makes me feel sick. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
And I hate that though. And I filmed this TikTok basically talking about tall poppy syndrome directly in reference to experiences that I've been having with the US and the people I've been talking to in the US who have just been hyping me up, who have been kicking me into gear, making me confident enough to do things, particularly in the US, that I didn't think that I was capable of, giving me that confidence booster that I haven't really had across anyone I've met really in Australia, which is quite sad. So I filmed a TikTok on it and the comment section on the TikTok was wild. So many people resonated with it. I had all of these amazing people DM me, but some really sad stories. People saying, you know, I've lost friends and family because they didn't understand what I was doing with starting a business. They didn't support me. I don't feel celebrated. This is why I left Australia. All of these things, right? So on TikTok, I was thinking, okay, wow, like this is really resonating with people. There's something to this. And there obviously was because the Daily Mail picked it up and did a big article on it, referencing the TikTok, quoting me, etc. But then the comment section of Daily Mail basically reconfirmed the issue, which is tall poppy syndrome. The comment section was wild. It was like, you know, Sophie's the personality issue that we're all facing. You know, people don't like people who are egotistical, which is you know, you're arrogant. Like that's the issue. I wasn't even trying to say I'm a tall poppy. All I was trying to say is I feel like this is a deep-seated cultural thing that's going on in Australia.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something I very much resonate with. I think, you know, even when – and I think it comes back to, you know, when I really force myself to reflect on kind of the things that we've achieved in business. And it's something that only in the last kind of year I've felt comfortable doing, but I do it privately, right? Like it's not something that I like talk about online that I'm like, wow, look at me or anything like that, because there's this deep-seated fear I know that there are people in the wings that are waiting to watch me crash and burn.
That's it. But that's the issue just there.
Yeah. I know that.
Yes.
And it's not a figment of my imagination.
No, it's true.
I know people talk about me, my businesses behind my back. I've heard people say things.
Same.
And so it's like it's not this kind of idea that people have created that just doesn't exist. It exists and it's very prevalent. But I feel like it's more prevalent as a female founder than a male founder. And I don't want to make this a female-male thing because I think and I talk about this quite frequently, is I feel like I have been afforded a lot of opportunities because I am a woman as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't want to make this a male-female thing, but I do feel like tall poppy syndrome is a lot more significant for female founders. Have you found that?
Completely. And I did reference gender in my video, and for the same reason, I completely agree. I've had some amazing opportunities just because I'm a female, Absolutely. But then I've also dealt with some challenges because I'm a female. My feeling, and I agree, it's not just some made up feeling, I've got actual evidence and facts to back it up. It is more likely to be a female disparaging another female, unfortunately, than in my experience, than it has been a man doing it to another female. And when it's a female doing it to another female, it seems to hurt me more. I don't know why. When I hear people in my close network talking about me in a way that's quite negative just because I'm giving something a crack. It's not like I've been mean to them, or if I bullied them, fine. Yeah. But I'm not bullying anyone. I'm just out here doing my own thing, giving something a crack. And in the video I say, you know, when you stick your neck out or you do something a little bit different to what everyone else is doing, that's when you're really a target. And that's when you need the most support. Yeah. So it's just this weird it's a very weird concept that we have in Australian society. You know, if my friend went out and did something that was a little bit different, I would be her biggest supporter. Yep. You know, but that's because I've been in a situation where I've dealt with the converse. Absolutely. It seems to be coming from people who've never gone out and given something a crack or
absolutely. And I think one thing that I've really realized, I mean, I feel like I'm quite similar in that sense where I also released a snippet from a podcast that I did with one of my team members on TikTok that popped off.
Yeah, nice.
But it was around the fact that I believe that there's two types of women in the world. There is a type of woman that sees someone succeeding and goes, they're doing fucking amazing things. Like I want her on my team. I want to be in her circle because she's going to like rub off on me or she's going to have a positive effect on me. And then there's the other type of woman in the world that sees someone excelling and goes, if her light is brighter than mine, it's going to make mine more dim. And
so true.
I cannot tell you how overwhelmed I was with the amount of comments that I got of women saying, this is exactly my experience, like 100% bang on. And it's the first time I've really felt like my feelings around, you know, tall poppy syndrome, but also women supporting other women, because I'm exactly the same. I've had more men in my life support me, back me, you know, put their necks out for me than I have women. And that's because a lot of the times the types of women that do say those nasty things or are the people that are like, your light needs to be more dim than mine is because it highlights an insecurity or a soft spot or a sore spot for them that they don't feel great about. Hey guys, if you are listening on Spotify, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A function on Spotify. And I think that far too often, you know, on instances like International Women's Day and things like that, it's not a female problem. It's not, you know, inherently female. It's not inherently female man. It's a societal problem that we have
completely
that we need to fix at the root of it. How do we fix it?
It's a cultural issue.
Yeah.
And it's something that's ingrained in Aussies from birth, and it perpetuates through these friendship groups. And I think now in this generation of more and more entrepreneurs and business founders, more people are looking to move overseas just to get away from it, which is so sad because then we're not keeping some amazing businesses within the country. One comment was around loud positivity, and I loved those two words. It was just saying, why can't we just have more loud positivity? It's always loud negativity.
Yeah.
It's always, if someone's loud, it's usually quite negative. There's rarely people going, it's like when you leave a review for something, you're more inclined to leave a review if you had a really, really bad experience rather than a really, really good experience. Yeah. So in terms of how we fix it, I think a big part is awareness. Awareness about anything helps an issue. I think a lot of Aussies don't even know they're doing it. They don't even know what this is. I think awareness of the concept will start to shift the way people look at things, especially if we talk about it more. But interestingly, after the Daily Mail article and all those negative comments on Daily Mail, I'm now scared to talk about it more because I don't want to be known as this girl talking about tall poppy syndrome and this societal issue, because that's not me either. Like I don't want to be known for that. So now I'm scared of getting cut down to keep talking about it. So it's quite scary to go out and talk about things.
It's exhausting. Like I think far too often, you know, it's the same as very similar to like, you know, toxic or abusive relationships, right? And I say it in the sense that, you know, if you've been in a situation where you have been, you know, attacked by another woman or a person, for that example, you know, you've been, you know, tore down or like, you know, ridiculed or talked about behind your back, you have that decision at that crossroad to go, am I going to become the same? Am I going to become someone that does this to other people because I have had it done to me and I think it's only fair that someone else experiences what I've been through? Or you completely do the 180 and go, actually, no, like I'm going to become everything that this person is not. So I think you're so right around awareness, and like we have to be conscious of the things that we're saying and those kind of biases that perhaps we're not aware of, because I do think that, you know, far too often in a, you know, room full of people, someone will talk about their successes and they go, why is she bigging herself up?
Yeah.
Or why is she blowing, you know, what's the saying?
Like that's not even such a big success. Like why would she even be talking about that?
But then it's like, what's your success? Show me yours.
Exactly.
And I think one of my favorite quotes, because I'm such a quote fiend, is around, you know, when someone walks into a gym, the person that will not be criticizing them is a bodybuilder or an Olympic weightlifter or someone who's at the like height of their success when it comes to training. And it's the same as, you know, when someone's starting a business, it's not the person that's made it in business that's criticizing those people.
Never.
It's the person that's below you wanting to be somebody that opens a business, or below you that's wanting perhaps, you know, to step foot in a gym and feel confident or have that discipline to go to the gym. So I do think that a lot of it unfortunately does come back to resilience in terms of us just having to be like, you know what, I wouldn't ever get this feedback or criticism from someone who was doing well.
Yeah, and you have to remind yourself of that. You know, grit and resilience is part of being a business owner as well. It's just an unfortunate thing that also comes from being in Australia as well. You know, that potentially might not be another element that you'd have to deal with elsewhere.
Yeah.
But no, you're completely right. And unfortunately, it can come from your closest friends and family.
Yeah. Have you experienced that?
I definitely have in my wider social circle for sure, because that's where you hear the comments kind of coming back a little bit more. So that's where it really validates that this is existing. And you do get that. You can, when you start a business, you know who your real friends are. You know, I had some friends that they were the first person to order the product online.
Absolutely.
And then I had some really close friends that I swear have not even tried it. They would go into a store and not even blink. You know, if I saw my friend and she launched in a store and I was shopping in that store, that would be the best $7 I would ever spend would be buying that product. I would be so excited regardless if I liked it, hate it, whatever. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. So you really figure out who your friends are, and you do get that kind of sentiment that some of your friends are waiting for you to fail, or they're waiting for you to really succeed before they jump on. They don't want to be with you on that kind of growth journey in case it's embarrassing if she fails. I don't want to be like associated to that. But then if she really succeeds, then they jump on and then they've been your friend for life.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? I like this. I mean, I really refer to that process as like natural selection, right? Like it's a great way to figure out who your friends are. It's a great way to figure out who your biggest supporters are. One of the things I hear all the time is around discounting things for friends, whether it's a service-based business or a product-based business. It's
tricky.
It's hard, right? Because it's like you want to get your product out there. You want to be able to, you know, share the hype and the love and, you know, build brand awareness and getting product out there. Where would you say your expectations were as a product-based business owner when it came to like your friends sharing stuff or trying stuff or buying stuff?
In terms of my product?
Yeah.
So in terms of discounting specifically, I'm going to be honest, I didn't discount at the beginning, and that was because I was just I just wanted to get the product out there so much, and I wanted people to see a value in it. And I think if you start in the process of just giving the product away, your friends will get into a routine where they expect that ongoing. You know, it's Soph's business, like I can just get unlimited amounts. Yeah. Whereas now it's if I turn up to Prees and I bring some and we have it first, it's like a nice surprise. And we really enjoy it a lot more rather than me just dropping truckloads off at all my friends' places. So the product that I've created is very premium. we don't really discount at all. We do some kind of discount codes related to an event maybe, but I don't expect a discount from my friends' businesses.
Totally.
So I kind of take that in the reverse as well.
Absolutely. Now, I had a very interesting experience recently, and I will tell you more about it when we stop recording. However, I think there is this big expectation that when people launch businesses, specifically product-based businesses, that there is this expectation in a digital world that people share it on their socials. When it comes, you obviously own a product-based business, and as you said, you launched on Instagram, you launched on social media. So any kind of awareness and sharing of that is important to kind of help grow the, brand profile and everything like that. Did you, when it came to kind of launching it, did you reach out to your friends and family or people that you know being like, hey, can you share this for me? Or what was your approach when it came to kind of sharing content? Because you don't want to push people to promoting a brand or a product that perhaps they haven't tried yet or perhaps they don't know what it's about, and you kind of want people to share more authentically. But then there's also this pull for, creating a product that everyone knows about and that people are sharing on social media.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. At the beginning, I did. I reached out to just a bunch of friends and family. It wasn't around, I didn't say, tell everyone this product's amazing. It was more could you just reshare some of the images from Soul just to show that I've launched a business, right? Rather than putting any words in anyone's mouth.
Sure.
And it was just kind of resharing some tiles from Instagram, just like Soul Tonic and the interesting photos from South Korea. And that is important. And I think as much as you want everything to be super authentic and organic, you also need some core people to get you started. And everyone who's starting a business knows that you have to do some things to get things started. It's not everything's just going to be organic from day one, just on your own. You need support. You need a support network, and you need people who are in your corner that will do that. I have friends who still reach out to me today being like, hey, can you comment on this? This is a brand. I've done a collaboration with this brand and it needs more comments. Absolutely. I'll comment it. I'll share it. I'll like it. I'll tag it. I don't know, whatever boosts your engagement. 100%, because some things have to be done. It's like when you go into a retailer and you buy your own product back.
Yeah.
I go into a retailer and I still purchase my own product.
Great.
Full price. You have to. It's good for rate of sale. You can talk to the person behind the register. There's a lot of things like that you have to do when you're launching a business.
And what was it like when you first saw your very first product placement in a store? Because I can imagine obviously selling online initially, then having your first retailer stock it. It's so different seeing that product on the shelf, and it's so different to seeing it amongst those 5,000 products that are also there. What did that feel like?
It was the weirdest thing, but I'll tell you what the weirder one was that I lived in Bondi when I launched the product, only just moved out. And so I seeded the product, and my first retailers were all in Bondi. And I was walking just down the streets of Bondi one day in the back streets, and I saw an empty Soul Tonic pouch just in someone's garden. And that moment I was like, oh my God, my product is now litter, which is gross, but also amazing.
Yeah.
I just stumbled. I didn't have to go into the store. I just stumbled across someone who'd obviously gone into a store, purchased it, drunk it, and then just sprayed it on the ground. And it looked so chic against that kind of hedge and that pavement. Took a photo of it. I was like, this is like rustic, cool vibe. Like, this looks great. Like the silver was popping off against the pavement. That moment was amazing, because then I was like, wow, people are buying this.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't. Yeah, seeing it's one thing, but seeing people buy it and consume it is a totally different story.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I feel like we could go on for hours, and I have some questions that I want to finish with. But before we do, what's your most expensive mistake that you've made with the business so far?
It would be legal fees, for sure. There's a bunch of different unforeseen legal costs that have come up, particularly I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, a trademark legal issue that's still going. So I've got South Korean lawyers fighting that so that I can trademark my designs in South Korea, not and basically disparage his trademark, which is quite hard when he trademarked first before me. So there's a lot proving there, and then some other legal fees in Australia as well. Lawyers cost a lot. They charge every 6 minutes. There's a lot of times you need them, and they're one thing you can't skimp on.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question before we get into the final three. What's next for Soul Tonic? What's in the pipeline? What's coming? What can we be excited about? But also, what do you think is next in terms of a trend for that kind of health, wellness, beverage, hangover market?
Space.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So for Soul Tonic, global, baby. Woo!
We're going global.
We're going global. So just secured my first retailer in New York.
Congratulations.
Interestingly, it's a cosmetics store, very premium beauty store. So they saw a lot of value in the product. It's kind of like a mecca, but in New York for K-beauty. It's beautiful. They have a store in Chinatown and Brooklyn. They want to do a launch event for it. They've got over 100,000 active users through their EDM, so online. So we've got stock over there in the air at the moment.
Amazing.
And we've also got a pallet of stock on the way to Ireland, which is super exciting. Got a distributor over there. So interestingly, that's our test market for the UK, and then the US is an important market for us. So a lot of exciting travel plans off the back of that, especially being there, in real life. And then in terms of the trends, I did mention this, and it's all around moderation. Okay. So it's the moderation movement in health, beauty, hangover, everything, right? So drinking, moderation. People are drinking less and less. Everyone knows it. How many people do we know are doing 6-week challenges, 75 hard, whatever they're trying to do, the challenge has not drinking in it for sure. And people are trading their choices for better for you, more premium choices, but less of it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also in gyms. I think they're doing less, they're not killing themselves every day, but they're doing more premium. They might be going to a more premium gym, or they might be more in touch with the workout they're doing, and same as their food choices. And that extends to the whole beverage category as well. And that really fits into where Soul Tonic is in terms of its premium price point, but also, moderation. If you're only drinking 4 drinks, we still encourage you to have a Soul Tonic so you can get the best outcomes the next day. And I think that will continue. And I think the anti-drinking trend will also continue.
Amazing. I love it. I'm a trendsetter. I love it. Now to wrap us up, we're going to do 3 questions. I ask everybody that's on the podcast these same 3 questions. The first one is what is a brand that is top of mind for you today?
So it's called Drink Gear. Okay. It's a non-alcoholic aperitif. I always say it wrong. Like spritz. The founder, Melanie, is incredible. The brand presence is insane. You need to look it up.
Okay.
Everything about it
sounds like it's right up my alley.
Nailed. No, you would love it. The socials is just spot on, and they've done such an amazing job with expanding and their in-store activations and the way, and they're very much on the train of the anti-drinking or the better for you kind of movement.
Okay, amazing. What is one thing that you think helps keep a person or a brand top of mind?
I think it's storytelling. I think it's the ability to be able to tell a story, to be able to connect to that story, keeps a brand top of mind. I connect to stories. I mean, I gave that example of Madame Clicquot, and even that brand I just mentioned, it's Melanie's story that I've really connected to, and that's why her brand is top of mind. So it's the person behind the story, but it's their ability to tell the story.
Love. Last question, and because I love quotes so much, is there a quote or something, like a saying that you have referred to throughout your business journey or founder journey that you regularly come back to?
So mine's something I have referred to weirdly my whole life. It was I think it was actually on my MySpace, which is kind of random. Now I say this because it doesn't feel very MySpace-esque. It's just everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you refer back to that, you will find a positive in everything. So you could be the worst thing in the world could have happened to you, but if you think that it's happened for a reason and something good will come from it, then it'll make that experience okay.
Sophie, thank you so much for sitting with me. I'm sure we could have sat here for another 2 hours and chatted. We'll have to have a part 2. Best of luck and congratulations with everything that you've achieved so far. I know the road hasn't been straight or smooth, but it's really exciting to watch another young female kind of excel in a space that she's insanely passionate about, and you can see that in the way that you talk about, you know, what you do, how you're going to do it, where you're going to go and all of that. So thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for sharing your insights, and I cannot wait to see where the Soul Tonic brand goes.
Yay, thanks so much for having me.
Before you go, help us grow and reach more people by hitting the subscribe button and leaving us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at topofmind.pod.